Midterm FingerPuppet Management Presentation. Team 50 Shades of Chocolate by Rimsky Edmond, Ashley Bell, and Ruben Diaz. Martin Johnson, CEO of Coastal Water, a multi-million-dollar water bottle company, decides to leave the comforts of his luxurious office in Manhattan, New York. He goes on Undercover Boss to see what working conditions are like for his employees in Borden, Indiana factory. During his time undercover, Martin comes across 4 employees: Sabrina, Michelle, Louis, and Stephen. They all have different work ethics, and some have a very challenging home life. The factory supervisor is Andrew, an unruly tyrant. Throughout the 5 weeks of being undercover, Martin begins to realize how the lack of involvement in the factory has made his employees undervalued and overworked, which leads to ethical issues within the factory. After spending 5 weeks undercover, Martin reveals himself to his employees and begins to make some necessary changes in the factory. Characters: Martin Johnson, 55-year-old Italian immigrant and CEO of Coastal Water Living in Manhattan, New York. He came to America when he was 19 and started his business at the age of 22. The first factory was in Borden, Indiana. He is a father of 2 girls and husband for 20 years. Maria Johnson, Martin's wife. Andrew Williams, 35-year-old white male who is a veteran and current supervisor of Coastal Water Factory. Andrew was in the Army for 15 years and married his high school sweetheart. Sabrina Ruiz, 19-year-old Cuban American. Sabrina never finished high school and lives at home with her grandfather, who also works in the factory, and her 4 younger siblings. Luis Ruiz, 65-year-old Cuban American and grandfather to Sabrina. He came to America 30 years ago and has been working at the factory for 15 years. He has arthritis in his left shoulder and has difficulty lifting large items. Michelle Williams, 35-year-old white female and mother of 3 boys. Michelle tends to work double shifts in order to provide for her family. She has been sexually harassed by Andrew since she started working in the factory 3 years ago. Episode Development 1 and 2. Episode 1, Decision Making. Martin checks his emails and notices that the quality of water is decreasing by a significant amount at Borden, Indiana factory. On his way home, he contemplates how to resolve the issue and weighs the pros and cons of each option. While watching TV on his couch, he comes across the Undercover Boss show and considers using this as a solution. Over dinner, Martin brings up the potential idea to his wife, and she supports his decision. Episode 2, Management Environment. Martin is shown leaving the comforts of the uptown city life in New York and moving to the rural area of Borden, Indiana. He is then shown arriving for his first day at the Coral Water, where Andrew introduces him to the rest of the staff. Andrew then provides Martin with little to no physical training as to what he is expected to do. Due to the advancement in technology, Martin is expected to use a simulation training program that he realizes is of little use when he actually starts working in the factory. Episode Development 3 and 4. Episode 3, Organizational Structure and Design. Throughout his time at the factory, Martin notices the poor decision-making skills that Andrew possesses. He also notices that there isn't a specific chain of command that is being followed. This leads him to believe that the reason the poor quality of water hasn't been detected earlier is because the crew workers aren't sure who to report the issue to. Martin later finds that Andrew isn't fully equipped to be in a management position and doesn't know how to resolve issues in a diplomatic manner. Episode 4, Communication and Negotiation. After 4 weeks undercover, Martin finally reveals himself to the staff and Andrew. During his speech to his employees, Martin announces why he went undercover and the issues he noticed. In order to rectify those problems, Martin decides to fire Andrew and promote Stephen to the supervisor position. Martin goes into further detail about the changes and direction he wants to go in, not just for the board and factory, but the entire Coastal Waters Company. Episode Development 5. Episode 5, Organizational Change. Martin decides to do a follow-up episode with Undercover Boss and return to the factory to see what changes have been made. He is excited to see that under Steven's supervision, the factory is excelling in both production quota and quality of water. The factory has truly taken a change for the better. Credits: Ashley Bell, writer, actor, producer. Ruben Cruz, actor, sketch artist, producer. Rimsky Edmond, actor, producer, audio and film director.
All right, gather around, everybody. This here is Martin, and he is our new line worker. Martin, this is everybody. No need in going around and saying everyone's name because you'll become real familiar with everyone after you work these 10-hour shifts. Anyway, come on back here to my office so I can get you set up on the simulation program for our training. After 2 hours of the simulation program, Martin was finally done with his training and went out into the work floor. Martin soon notices that the simulation program doesn't equip him at all when it comes to actually working the machine. However, his coworker Lewis comes in and properly teaches him how to use the machinery, which is training that he should have gotten in the first place.
Thanks so much, man. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing on this conveyor belt.
No problem, man. No problem at all.
So you gotta tell me, what is up with this Andrew guy? He is like no ethics whatsoever. How the heck did he even get this position? Well, I've been working here for about 15 years now, so he's been here longer than that. Apparently, his dad passed on the position to him and didn't tell the big guys in New York about any of it. But I mean, to be honest, why would they care? As long as we get these water bottles out and meet our daily quota, they can care less about what's going on down here.
Well, Martin, you've been here for about 3 weeks now. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I didn't think you'll last this long. You just didn't seem to cut out for the job.
Yeah, I noticed the turnover rate is really high. It's like there's a problem with the factory retaining its employees.
Yeah, it's probably because people don't like the way I run things around here. I know what they're saying behind my back. They don't think I'm doing a good job, but who cares what they think? They're not the ones signing my check. Like last week, I heard Steven talking smack about the decision I made to amp up the daily quota from 3,000 to about 4,500. So I put him on a suspended leave without pay. Who is he to talk about my executive decisions? I'm the boss around here, right? Of course I am.
But I thought Steven was one of your best workers, which is why he is, or should I say was, your department head. All the staff seems to really like him because he's been around so long. I heard he's been here since he graduated high school, and I heard your father was wanting to hire him on. He probably just got a little frustrated with all the demands we were putting on him and heard the complaints from the staff about the workload. There wasn't any task differentiation. It was just him doing all the work.
Man, I hated the way my father admired Steven so much. I needed to make an example out of him anyway to the rest of the workers. That would teach him to go against my decisions. Besides, these high quotas will make me look good. Better yet, they'll make me look great to the big wigs in New York. They don't care about how I'm running my factory. As long as they get the bottle shipped off, that's all they need. That's all they care about. They probably don't know anything about the organizational structure. From what I hear, the CEO doesn't do any work anyway. He has 3 executive VPs that'll do all the work for him. I'm just following in his footsteps.